Ariel Helwani post-fight at the Tough 14 finale in Las Vegas alongside a smiley UFC president, Dana White. And Dana, the main event just wrapped up, and we appreciate the time. You just tweeted moments ago, the most one-sided fight in UFC history. Really?
Yeah, one of them, definitely. Yeah, I think that, I was having some arguments after the first round. People were saying that they gave Mayhem the first round. I didn't give Mayhem the first round. I gave it to Bisping.
Despite the great position that he had on the ground for, it seemed like a minute and a half or so.
The quarter of amount where he did no damage and didn't do anything. Yeah, I wouldn't give a guy a round for sitting in a quarter of amount and not doing any damage. The whole time that fight, the first round went on, I think Michael Bisping did more damage than Mayhem Miller did.
Was that how you expected the fight to play out going into it?
Not even close. I thought that it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a tougher fight.
Who did you think? I know you don't pick a winner, but who are you favoring going into it?
Well, I felt like Michael Bisping had a lot more experience. When you look at a guy like Bisping, as much as people don't like him or whatever people want to think about Bisping, look at his resume and the people he's fought. I mean, he's fought Rashad Evans, and he's fought at 205. He's fought at 185, and the reality is, when you fight in the UFC, you fight all the best fighters in the world. He has been for years and has done pretty well.
It's clear that second and third round, Mayhem was very tired and he seemed to be gassing out. Do you think, and he's fought in big fights before, not known to be a guy who gasses out. Do you think that the sort of the moment got to him, and that, first time back in the UFC, he hasn't fought in over a year? Do you think all that got to him?
Who knows? It's hard to say, but yeah, it could have. I mean, I was noticing when he was walking into the octagon, he was taking deep breaths, and it happens, man. It happens. People get those UFC jitters, and no matter whether he's been in big fights or not, this was the biggest stage Mayhem Miller has ever been on, even considering the fight he had with GSP.
What do you think of the stoppage?
I thought it was a good stoppage. I mean, he was basically just a punching bag. He was getting punched to the head nonstop with big shots to the body, knees, kicks. It just gets to a point where a guy isn't, not only is he not able to defend himself, but he's not fighting back. It becomes so one-sided, you have to stop the fight.
It was nice to see the crowd give Michael Bisping his due. They clapped for him a little bit, at least. Do you feel as though this will finally get fans to start to like the guy, or do you think he'll always be one of those guys that they'll love to hate?
Yeah, I think Bisping has that personality that some people are going to like him, and some people are going to hate him. Him and Mayhem had a great season this season on The Ultimate Fighter. I think they both have personalities that obviously clashed, but they were great this season. They were great coaches. They were both competitive. They were both into it, and it was a fun season. Many people think one of the best ever in tough history.
Did you have any issues with what Bisping did and said yesterday at the weigh-ins?
One thing that I always talk about, people always say, "Hey, can I meet this guy?" People that are close to me, and on the day of the weigh-ins, I really don't even talk to the fighters when I walk in. I'll shake a couple guys' hands and say hi to them. Then when they're done weighing in, we go into a back room. I give them a brief speech, and I don't talk to them. I don't mess with them. I don't do anything with the fighters. These guys have been training. They've been away from their families. They've been cutting weight. They are miserable and nasty. At that time when they did that to Bisping, he still had to lose, so he had to go back and cut some weight still. Yeah, these things are going to happen. These guys are fighters. And when you're yelling, stupid stuff to people, I've told people to before too.
Right, so flipping up the crowd, the people who are paying to see them fight, doesn't bother you?
It's not always the best thing to do. It's not how we treat our fans here at the UFC, but apparently Michael Bisping doesn't want any fans. So, that's up to him.
Where does he go from here? Because a lot of people thought when it seemed as though Chael Sonnen was going to fight Anderson Silva that maybe Mark Munoz would be next for the winner of this fight. You just announced today that Munoz is fighting Chael Sonnen on Fox in January. So looking at the situation at 185, there's no clear-cut guy for him next. Where do you think he goes from here?
For Bisping?
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. There's actually going to be one more fight on that Fox card. One more headliner fight. First of all, it's 2 hours. There'll be more than 3 fights, but there's going to be 3 headliners for that card. We haven't announced the other one yet. It just got to the point where we were getting right up it was getting to the wire. I told everybody I was going to announce it a week before we did, and I'm still working on that card.
Are you implying that Bisping may be on that card as well?
It's a possibility.
Who do you think should be next for him?
For Bisping? We'll see.
seem to be holding the cards very close to your vest this time.
Yeah, well, I don't like announcing. Everybody wants to know, oh, what's next, what's next. Just wait, I'm going to announce it. It's going to happen, I got to get the deal done first.
All right, let's talk about the two Toughen Ally fights.
Yeah.
John Dodson looked spectacular, and this is a guy who a lot of people think should be a flyweight. And Diego Brandao with one of the greatest turn of events in the first round in recent UFC history. Who impressed you most, or maybe both of them did?
Yeah, no, they both did. And I'm actually happy with all four fighters that fought in that finale. I mean, I think we've got some guys who have some real potential. This was an amazing season. From the fights to get into the house, I've been impressed. So obviously here at the finale, I'm very impressed. I think it was an incredible season from the first fights to get in to the finale. And I think we've got a star in Dodson. I think we got a star in Diego. I think Bermudez has potential, and Dillashaw.
It's been a while since we've seen more than 3 or 4 guys from the show then go on to fight in the UFC. Do you think this will be the first time in a while where we'll see at least 5 or 6 guys come into the UFC?
Yeah, I think this is the first time in a long time that everybody fought on the actual card. I mean, tonight we had so many guys from this season fight on the finale, which hasn't happened in a long time either. Just to show how impressive this season was.
And one last thing about Dodson and some of the other bantamweights, a lot of these guys should be fighting at 125. Is there any update as to when you will bring in that division?
Soon.
That's the update.
That's my update.
Who do you think won the Ferguson-Eve Edwards fight?
I thought Ferguson won it. Yeah. I thought it was a good fight, though. I thought it was very close. And to be honest with you, when they were scoring it, I was like, man, this could go. There were a couple of those rounds that were so close. It was tough to score. And
then in the Luis Godinez fight, the first fight on Spike TV, did you think it went on a little too long there with Johnny Bedford and Steve Mazzagatti reffing?
It absolutely, positively went on too long. Yeah, I mean, when a guy is rolled up in the fetal position and he's getting soccer kicked and punched to the head, Mazzagatti is one of these guys that I don't think has ever been punched ever in his life, and must not know what it feels like. I mean, I am so not a fan, and I don't know how this guy continues to work in this state.
So now officially you have one last show on Spike TV. That's the prelims for UFC 141. How has this week been for you as you kind of really wrap things up with them? From our perspective, it was a little different. No media workouts. It just seemed like it was not as promoted in terms of the stuff to do for the media. How has it been on your end?
On both sides. Yeah, it was, things have definitely shut down there, and it's the way that deals end, I guess. This is my first experience with a television deal ending. So, it's been a little weird. And like I say, when you look at our business overall, it's been a weird end of the year because we've been in this transition period. But this is it. This was the last one. Now we move over to Fox, and we'll be with these guys for 7 years. I'm looking forward to all the new, challenges and things that we're going to be building and doing over there.
How would you describe your relationship with Spike now as you sort of part ways?
I think we have a great relationship with Spike. There's a lot of we've been in business together for 6 years. We built both of our businesses off our brand and that network. So it's good. I respect and like the guys over there. They got to do what they got to do. Business will go on, and they'll do their thing, and we'll do ours. But I said this before, and I'll say it again. The guys at Spike and Comedy Central didn't make this decision. Somebody higher up made this decision, and it is what it is. We all got to do what we got to do.
Okay, and final thing, it was just announced today, that's why we're asking about it. The 2 Fox fights that were announced, the matchmaking. I know Davis was supposed to fight Rashad Evans in August before he got injured, but the Chael Munoz fight in particular, what was the thinking behind putting those fights on Fox?
They're great fights. And those fights were available. And, Anderson Silva's hurt, so he can't fight till his shoulder gets better. So the Munoz fight and Chael Sonnen doesn't want to wait. It's like, I'm not going to wait for Anderson Silva. I need a fight. I want to stay busy. I want to make some money. And I'll fight Munoz, and then, I'll win this fight, and then I'll fight Anderson. That's Chael's look at it, and I think Munoz feels the same way. I think Munoz is pumped to have the opportunity to be able to face Chael Sonnen and kind of slide into that spot.
It seemed like Chael maybe didn't want that fight because he said earlier this week that fight wasn't happening. Was that just him throwing us a curveball?
Chael Sonnen, yeah. Chael Sonnen just, yeah. Because I didn't announce it. Chael Sonnen was, yeah.
So he's a company man after all.
Yeah, well, sometimes. Well, sometimes he is. But he wants that fight. Munoz wants that fight. Should be a good one.
All right, well, congrats on a great night. Congrats on a great run on Spike TV.
Thanks.
And thanks for the time. And I guess we'll see you in a couple of days in Toronto, UFC 140.
Cool. Thanks, buddy.